Well, hello, everybody. Looks like we've got a few folks already here. That's awesome. Welcome. If it's your first time here, my name is Dr. Matt Dorsey, aka the CHOQTOR. I'm a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. I am CHOQ's Chief Scientific Officer and Formulator, and resident herb geek, nutrition aficionado, and professional weirdo, I suppose. At least for those folks who perhaps are behind the times and don't realize how great herbs can be. So we tossed out a little email today, and maybe a few of you guys perhaps saw that. I'm seeing some familiar faces. Jonathan, hello. Shadow, Mohammed. Yeah, Skylar, I missed the IG lives as well, but unfortunately that's no longer our platform, and we're building this out. So yeah, this is YouTube is where it's at now. Yeah, and had a little hard time sleeping last night. I'm slightly tired today, but fairly chalked up. So I think I'll be all right. How's everybody doing? If you happen to be new, go ahead and let me know in the chat. I am curious who all is new. And also, if you happen to see the email we sent out, or if you saw the telegram that I posted, I'm curious who's seeing that. Hello, Laura. How's it going? Good to see you. Welcome. Laura, I think statistically you might be our #1 fan as far as how many of these you've been on. I think you've been on nearly every single one of them. So that's awesome. Let's see. Will says, check the playback on the live. I sent my number plenty of times. Yeah, let's see here. Will, I'm not sure if you're referring to some kind of customer service issue, but yeah. You're talking about sending your number in. Yeah, just so you guys know, I can only go based off of what YouTube sends me in the chat for the giveaways. And so lately, some people's numbers have not been showing up on my end. So if that is the case, unfortunately, I have no control over that. Yeah, and there's the YouTube will do a weird thing where it'll actually send me what you put in the chat like several minutes later out of nowhere. So yes, so unfortunately I have no workaround for that. So just doing my best with an imperfect system. Yeah. So Muhammad saw the email. Very cool. What's up, Mr. R? Yeah, I think Mr. R, you've been on like 100% of these so far. So congratulations. Yeah. Senior Prepper. I'm new. Senior Prepper, that username seems to be a little familiar. Do I know you? What do I take when I'm tired? So I'm glad you asked. Because I'm a man, CHOQ Daily, which is our own, is the standard dose. Those two are excellent for boosting energy. Of course, for women, the standalone Shilajit instead of the daily is excellent because the daily does have already 500 milligrams of Shilajit in it. Tomcat 100, of course, is another excellent one for energy. And of course, I take the full CHOQ line, really. So, but yeah. All right. Okay. So what other questions do you guys have for me before we get into our daily electromagnetism segment, EMF segment? Anything else? Yeah, we'll not going to discuss any more on the technicalities there at the moment, but yeah. Let's see here. Who else is new other than Senior Prepper? Anybody else? Muhammad, I've seen you on quite a few of these. Chuck says I'm on the ashwagandha. Chuck, what kind of results are you getting? I'm wondering how it's treating you. I will say, with respect to focus, ashwagandha probably is one of the best ones in the CHOQ line. The thing specifically is that makes it a bit different, though, is that ashwagandha. And by the way, I'd like to plug that YouTube video here that I've told you guys about a few times. The ashwagandha deep dive that I did, part of our series called Deep Dives with Dr. Dorsey. And let me just, I'll just type it in here. So Deep Dives with Dr. Dorsey, ashwagandha. Definitely check that one out. Neglected to capitalize Dr. Dorsey, but whatever. Anyway, so ashwagandha does work on multiple different neurotransmitters. One of the points of distinction here is that it's excellent for focus, but it's not going to be quite as stimulating, perhaps, as like a CHOQ daily. Some of the neurotransmitters that CHOQ daily is working on, it's going to be a little bit more on the dopamine side of things, which is a little bit more stimulating. Again, as y'all might know, dopamine, those first two letters do, right? D-O. So it's about focus and about sort of doing, right? It's very active. It's more young. While ashwagandha does support healthy energy levels, it also supports healthy GABA levels. GABA is your inhibitory neurotransmitter. Now, it sounds paradoxical because most people, when they think of focus, they think of, oh, we had a little glitch here. Okay. Well, let me know if you guys can hear me now. But yeah, oops, got thrown off there. But yeah, ashwagandha, GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter, and it sounds paradoxical that something that would calm nervous system function down could help you focus, because we think of things like caffeine for focus, right? But of course, if anyone here has ever had too much espresso or overdosed on tea, which is hard to do, but then you know that you can actually become scattered, right? And when we're stressed out and our cortisol levels are perhaps a bit higher than is optimal, then we tend not to focus very well. So ashwagandha really shines when it comes to the regulation of cortisol, supporting healthy cortisol levels, and of course, like I said, does work on GABA, so it has a calming and centering effect on the nervous system. Chuck says, I prefer Action 2.0. Action 2.0 is awesome. This guy right here, yes, it's fantastic. And I will tell you guys also, I mentioned this the other day, but we're working on a new product right now that is going to be probably the strongest thing that CHOQ will have ever released. And I can't give you, I don't have permission to give you exact details on what it is yet. And as soon as I do, I will. But for now, let's just say that it's going to be pretty tremendous and something that will work right away to give you an incredible boost. So yeah. Will says, how much cacao daily is too much cacao? Taking 10 to 15 beans daily, not advisable. No, 10 to 15 beans is really perfectly fine. It's a food, so the serving size is really up to you. Our serving size suggested is, really somewhere between a half ounce and an ounce. And, so that would be in excess of 10 to 15 beans. Absolutely. Quite a few more than that. So, but it's really up to you. Cacao is powerful stuff. And so obviously for someone who, say, for example, is stimulant naive, caffeine naive, naive being, that's more of a scientific term. So it sounds strange if you're not used to hearing it in a scientific context, but in the sense that someone who does not have a lot of big tolerance built up to things like coffee or caffeine, then less is more with the cacao for sure. You can overdo it, but again, quite gentle overall. So totally up to you, however much you want to do. And remember, you also can brew the cacao up if you want, like coffee. So a lot of people don't know. You can, yeah, exactly, Laura. You can grind the beans up. Oh, put them on vanilla ice cream. That's awesome. Sounds delicious. You can grind the beans up coarsely in a coffee grinder, right? Whether it's like a hand grinder or electric or whatever. And then you can brew it just like coffee. And I've done this before. It's actually kind of amazing because it hits you like that, because you're basically just doing an herbal extraction, right? That's all coffee is. It's an herbal extract, essentially. It's a hot water extract, right? Aqueous extract, as we call it. And so if you do use that method, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2 tablespoons per 8 to 12 ounce serving is good. Grind it coarsely. Let it steep for about 5 minutes. No more than 5 or 6 minutes, because it will start to affect the flavor negatively. And then ideally use about 170 degrees, not quite boiling. So it's about 40 degrees, approximately shy of boiling. That's going to give you a pretty ideal one there. Senior Prepper says dosage of Action 2.0. So the dose range is actually 3 to 6 capsules. 3 is going to be your standard. Yeah, Will knows what's up. So 3 is going to be your standard dose, and then 6 is the maximum dose. So somewhere in that dose range is great. It's also good to know that Action 2.0, this is a really, really versatile supplement. tends to get pigeonholed as, something that's for energy and mood and focus. And of course it does all of that, right? But really this is also a cardiovascular support formula. So notice here where it says boosts mitochondrial function, right? So again, for those of y'all who might not know, your mitochondria are these little tiny bacteria-like organelles, they're called, right? Like miniature organs inside of a cell. And each cell can have from dozens to thousands of them. And they help your cells produce energy. So whenever you eat anything that has energy in it, which is also known as calories, whether that energy stored caloric energy is in the form of fat, carbohydrate, or protein, ultimately it has to get converted at some point to ATP before your cells can use it, adenosine triphosphate. And it has to go through the mitochondria to do that. So some of the ingredients in here that are helping with mitochondrial function are actually the rhodiola is helpful for that, which is a wild-crafted rhodiola from Siberia. And then specifically this one called Elevate-ATP. This is a really cool one. All right, notice that ATP, right? That's your main energy currency of the cell. And then, of course, there is the vitamin B12 in the form of methylcobalamin. Your mitochondria do require B12 to function. Very, very critical mitochondrial nutrient. So, but yeah, so what does that have to do with cardiovascular function? Well, your heart has a huge energy demand. Your heart needs massive amounts of energy to work correctly. And yeah, so let's just say that, every cell in your body needs mitochondria, but certainly the heart desperately needs mitochondria to function. And so very, very important. And yes, absolutely. You can take all 6 at once, or you can do 3 and 3, really up to you. Obviously I would recommend somebody experiment with 3 first to see, what the results are, and then possibly increase by 1 capsule at a time. Yeah. Especially if one is sensitive. Yeah. All right. Someone's asking about what brand of minerals I take. I can't recommend any brands other than CHOQ. I do represent CHOQ. But in general, I can say the 2 most important minerals, I think probably for the average person, are magnesium and zinc. With magnesium, make sure you get a good form of magnesium, a good molecular form, such as magnesium taurate, magnesium glycinate. Magnesium citrate's okay as well. Avoid magnesium oxide. That's a garbage form. And then for zinc, there are many good forms of zinc. You also want to avoid zinc oxide, and you want to do zinc picolinate, zinc sulfate, zinc gluconate. Any of those are great. There's more as well, zinc glycinate. Yeah, but those are for the average person, 2 of the most important. Of course, we know zinc is not just essential for immune health, but you desperately need zinc for your endocrine system, which is a fancy way of saying hormones. So you do need zinc to synthesize testosterone and therefore estrogen, because I'm not going to do trivia for prizes, but here's just a general trivia question. Can anyone tell me the name of the enzyme that converts testosterone to estrogen? If you can tell me, I'll give you a cookie. Not a real prize, but just I'll just give you I'll just salute you, Hello, Andreas. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Welcome. Let's see here. Oh, you're in Denmark. That's awesome. Very cool. I think, Andreas, you might be our first person from Denmark, as far as I know. That's awesome. Yeah. Starseer says no oxides. Yes, with respect to minerals, an oxide is not a natural form at all. Also, for those who do need iron, obviously I don't recommend iron for everyone, but clearly for some men, for women, some women do need it, rarely men, as a supplement. Since that one is important for some people, though, Aswana, you're exactly correct. Aromatase. Everybody give Aswana a round of applause. Very good. Aromatase is the name of the enzyme that converts testosterone to estrogen. And it's also important to know that, so we talk about the CHOQ, we talk about hormone synthesis, healthy hormone synthesis by the body, and the way that different adaptogens like ashwagandha can support that. Shilajit can support that, and Concat powerfully supports that. They all support testosterone in men, but they don't increase testosterone to some excessive amount in women. They do support, healthy hormone balance in women. Now, why is that? Well, when your body synthesizes testosterone, if you have a male body, then that enzyme is going to act much, much differently. Your body, in order to create estrogen, has to make testosterone first and then convert it to estrogen. And so it's just important to know that. So if you do perhaps have a slightly higher amount of testosterone being created in a woman, an aromatase is going to take care of that and break it down and convert it to estrogen. Yeah. Obviously, this is totally different than taking huge amounts of synthetic, hormones. That's a totally different ballgame. This is very, very different. These adaptogens are also working by regulating the relationship between the brain and the adrenals, the brain and the testes, the brain and the ovaries, all the different sites that manufacture these hormones. So yeah, very different mechanism of action there. All right. Okay, let's see. Do you think someone with a seafood allergy can consume Irish moss extract? Asking for a friend. Mohammed, I couldn't say 100%. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. Just off the top of my head, though, it's certainly they certainly do seem distinct. But I would have to say, just from a purely legal standpoint, that that person should definitely speak with a physician on that one. Yes. And progesterone was a good guess in your prepper, but progesterone is not an enzyme. That is a hormone in and of itself. But excellent guess there. Yeah. All right. So without further ado, let's actually, you know what? Let's give away our first prize here. I'm trying to give away prize number one a little earlier here. And just so you know, guys, I can, FYI, if YouTube doesn't show me your entry, there's absolutely nothing I can do. I'm not missing them. I'm looking through every single one of them. And sometimes YouTube is just not showing me what you guys are sending in the chat until much later. And unfortunately, I have no way of correcting that. It's just really out of my control. Only thing you could do really would just be to call Google, right? And that's not going to happen. So, but anyway, so everyone right now in the chat, give me a number between 1 and 100, one entry only, just a 2-digit number. And whoever is closest to the number that is generated, the random number, will win. And to make it fair, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just count down for 30 seconds. It's on a slight delay, but I've got a timer here, and that way it's standardized. And whenever I type in done, that's when we're done. That way we're not waiting for a super long time for everybody to get their answers in. So yeah. All right. I think there's a couple second delay between what you guys are seeing and what you're typing, obviously. So yeah. But here we go. All right. And we are done. Okay. So on my end, the last one that came through is Raffatal. So unfortunately, everyone else who came in after that will not be counted. Just only way to be fair. All right. And what is our randomly generated number here? It is 43. So let's see. What do we got here? Jonathan guessed 41. If anybody closer than that, I think going once, going twice. Boy, howdy, I think it might be Jonathan here. Yep. Yes, Jonathan, you are the winner. Congratulations. So you won one of any CHOQ product. Feel free to pick out your product. That obviously includes not just the supplements, but the cacao beans and the shirts as well. And then email CHOQ@CHOQ.com to redeem your prize. And of course, while I'm channeling my inner game show host here, everybody stick around for prize number 2 right after these messages from me. So yeah. All right. So it's time for our segment that I haven't come up with a clever name yet which is where we talk about electromagnetic frequencies, reading from, I'm just going to always type this for any of you guys who want to check it out, the Non-Tinfoil Guide to EMFs. Really, really awesome book. I'm reading through it brand new. So I haven't actually read this yet before. I'm just kind of going through and then taking little excerpts from what I'm reading. So Electromagnetic frequencies have the ability to actually make your red blood cells clump together. This is really interesting. I've seen studies. I've seen some images using live blood analysis where they're looking at live blood cells under a microscope, where they were comparing blood that has and has not been subjected to electromagnetic frequencies, man-made ones, of course. And you can actually see, there's a term for it. I can't remember the exact term that the people who do live blood analysis use. If anyone knows the term, let me know. But it's basically, you can actually see the red blood cells clumping. And when they clump, they don't flow as well. And when they don't flow as well, you have reduced oxygen delivery. So in Chinese medicine, here's why it's so fascinating. In Chinese medicine, what we say is that the blood follows the qi, or that the qi commands the blood. So what does that mean? So think about it. Qi, energy, life force, which is probably in some way related to electromagnetism, commands the blood, right? So think about it. Your blood is filled with heme, which is an iron-based molecule. So your blood is magnetically sensitive. Your blood's like a bunch of little iron filings, right? So anything that has electromagnetism to it has the ability to affect the blood dynamics. So yes, there is evidence. He cites a couple studies here that EMFs can make your red blood cells clump together. So very interesting. Here's another one. EMFs can increase your cortisol levels. So I think we know that probably at this point, I hope that I've trained you guys well. Single best solution for that we carry for healthy cortisol levels is ashwagandha. And yes, EMFs can raise your cortisol. So if you want to learn more about why cortisol is not something that you necessarily want to have huge amounts of for too long, and the different ways it can sap your vitality, definitely check out the deep dives with ashwagandha video I did with Dr. Anthony Thomas, PhD, from Natreon, who manufactures the ashwagandha, the organic Maxos ashwagandha product that we sell. And finally, EMFs reduce your body's reserves of key antioxidants, specifically superoxide dismutase and, drum roll, glutathione. And of course, I know you guys know that right now we're out of the Apex, because we're reformulating it. But I would also like to let you guys know that other supplements that CHOQ produces, such as Shilajit, also work on antioxidant compounds like glutathione and superoxide dismutase, and the Shilajit is one of them.